Ага. Ты не лупай.
Donald Trump, the President of the United States, is one of the most ran-through people in the Western world.
I'm gonna do it!
It goes without saying that he has been with many, many people. He's had many key partnerships that have been very famous, they've made headlines around the world. And today we're gonna rank them, okay? Let's go. Starting off, we've got Mike Pence. He wasn't that close to Mike Pence. He basically just brought Mike Pence in to satisfy like the evangelical voting bloc. He would joke about Pence's rampant homophobia, but apart from that, they weren't especially close or unified or even like ideologically that together, really. And after Mike Pence chose to, prioritize his duty to the US Constitution in the fallout of Trump losing the 2020 election, Trump, essentially sent like an angry mob after him. So we can't rank that relationship very highly. It wasn't a very successful relationship. We're going to give that a 3 out of 10.
He gets it.
When it comes to Ivana Trump, his first wife, on one hand, he did have 3 children with her, so something happened. But on the other hand, when she did pass away, he buried her on a golf course for a tax break, and that golf course burial is actually supremely overgrown, right? There are photos of it, and it is so disturbing how abandoned her grave looks, given that 3 of her children are still alive. Like her 3 children that she had with him, they are still alive and they do nothing about it. So I'm going to give that, just for how sad that is, I'm going to give that a 4 out of 10.
I'm gonna come.
When it comes to Marla Maples, there isn't that much to say about her. Like, okay, she was the girl that he had an affair on Ivana Trump with. He married her and then divorced her because he was cheating on her as well. So, like, there's not very interesting. I'm going to give that a 1 out of 10.
He gets it.
Stormy Daniels is quite a definitive relationship for Trump because if you think about it, it's kind of why Mar-a-Lago face as a concept exists, because all of these women in like the Mar-a-Lago world, in the right-wing ecosystem, saw that Trump has a weakness for a woman with blonde hair and a fake-looking face and very relatively large assets. And they said, right, if we want to be listened to as women in Trump world, then we need to look like that. So you could argue that Stormy Daniels kind of set the tone for all of these Republican women going for Mar-a-Lago face, because it was established that Trump has a weakness for women that look like that. And in such a misogynistic space, you kind of need to be eye candy. You need to be attention grabbing. And if you want to get the king and kingmaker's attention, you want to look like the woman who he famously had a massive affair with. It wasn't that massive. To my understanding, it was only once and it wasn't all that good. But like, you understand what I mean. So for its significance, I'm going to give that a 7 out of 10. When it comes to Rudy Giuliani, the relationship starts off incredibly close and then widens quite significantly when it comes to the 2020 election. So obviously they'd known each other for quite a long time. They're both kind of mainstay New Yorkers, Rudy Giuliani being the people's mayor or something, America's mayor, and Donald Trump being like one of the staple celebrities of New York City. So they did a few things together. There's that one really weird, quite bizarre incident where they did some kind of skit together on television where Rudy Giuliani was dressed as a woman and was in drag, and Trump was like, I don't even want to think about that. But like then after the 20, obviously he was then Trump's, like, I think he was attorney general or something. He was Trump's lawyer, obviously, for a long time. And then when it came to the 2020 election, he had all that complete meltdown where he was in the parking lot and he was like, his like hair dye was like running down his face and it was like crashing out. And then it was found out that not only was he getting sued for like $150 million by some election certifiers because he told loads of lies about them, but also that Trump was just not paying his bills. And Trump was like, that's very common for Trump, but Trump was refusing to pay like millions of dollars. I think it was $2 million worth of legal bills for Giuliani's services. And Giuliani was facing bankruptcy and Trump just wasn't answering his calls. I think he got a pardon from Trump recently, but ultimately it's just a relationship where Trump uses Rudy Giuliani. So I'm going to give that a 5 out of 10. Yeah, she hates him. She hates him so much. I love it. I love how much Melania Trump is obviously just like, she doesn't even let him kiss her, like in public. Like, how embarrassing is that? They reckon that the only reason that she stays with him is because it provides like an unlimited pool of resources for their son, and that she actually does care about him. But like the moment he passes or like goes to jail or whatever, she's gone. She's gone. She's on some other billionaire's yacht. No one cares. Like, she is completely checked out of that marriage. She's stuck in there for 20 years, though, but it has just given her an unlimited pool of resources. So, I mean, I've got to rate that, like, say, professional gold digger. I'm going to give that 6 out of 10.
He gets it.
JD Vance, that's a pathetic relationship, right? JD Vance was only let into the club because he could be someone that Trump could just trot out to defend some of his more ridiculous policies. And JD Vance is someone that has absolutely no principles or political beliefs. He just waits until Peter Thiel tells him what to think. And Peter Thiel said, you're going to work for you belong to Donald now. And JD Vance said, yes, sir. There's nothing interesting about JD Vance in the slightest. So there's no real relationship there. JD Vance is a stooge. You wouldn't think he was the vice president. You'd think he was some kind of PA. So I'm going to give that 3 out of 10. There's nothing especially special or extraordinary about Laura Loomer, except maybe what she's chosen to do with her face. But apart from that, like, the only significant aspect of her, you know, she is literally just a far-right grifter who puts out the most offensive, racist, disgusting stuff possible to get attention for herself and her little brand. There was a time where Trump was not listening to anyone except for her. There was a time where she was considered like this kind of de facto first lady, top advisor kind of thing, even though she was this was like during early 2025, early last year. And she was like the top dog in his administration. She was like the one person that he would listen to, who he was taking advice from. And he was not, no one else was apparently able to get him to listen to them. But she was. And it's like, for that, and people were speculating, like, yeah, she is the definition of Mar-a-Lago face, and she has all the, like, they're so weirdly physically intimate when you see them on camera together, and it's like, do you think there's a possibility? Do you think, or not? I doubt it, personally, although I wouldn't put it past him. So we're going to give that a solid 5 out of 10, just for the intrigue.
Dropped the thing.
When it comes to Elon Musk, they had such a close bromance, right? They had such a close bromance that Trump was like establishing Elon as like a permanent member of the US government, even though he wasn't elected to jack, right? And Musk spent about $200 million getting Trump elected for no other reason than because he managed to get radicalized on Twitter, a platform that he owns. Like, how like mentally feeble are you at the age of 53 that your own website sends you down the alt-right pipeline and you become like a rabid white supremacist, Christian nationalist, whatever. Even though it's assumed that he was already a white supremacist, because like apartheid, aristocracy, South Africa type stuff, right? But like, then, you know, the only reason that the Epstein Files conversation is even still a thing today is because Elon Musk dropped that bomb when they fell out over HB1 visas and electric car subsidies and stuff. And like, that has set off such a firestorm in the political world that will never go away. That is staying with Trump for as long as he lives. I don't care what anyone says. Like, that only happened because Elon Musk got angry and put that on Twitter. And that's how it happened. Like, that is so, like, in terms of the significance of that relationship, given that it might be the relationship that genuinely burns everything down in the end, gotta be an 8 out of 10. You know, he was bouncing up and down for Trump at first, then realized that Trump doesn't have friends and Trump was always going to screw him over. I mean, there's not that Elon doesn't deserve it, but like, yeah, significant relationship, 8 out of 10. Trump's relationship with Bubba is deep. I think that's all I really need to say. But they used to play golf together, and they used to be quite good friends before before Hillary Clinton ran for president, and Trump was like, I need to hate these people now. These people are my enemies. Even though, according to those leaked emails, apparently Trump might have gone down on Bubba, which is allegedly, but like, wouldn't it be wonderful if it was true? Wouldn't it be wonderful if that just came up, if that photo was found, that alleged photo that may or may not exist? But yeah, I'm gonna give that just for the sheer gall of this timeline. I'm gonna give that a 9 out of 10. Trump and Clinton, 9 out of 10.
I'm gonna do it.
You just know that they were like up late at night chatting to each other about their feelings. they were like, yeah, kicking their feet and giggling on the phone. Like, no, you hang up first. No, you hang up first. Trump doesn't have friends, but that man was his friend. That man was his close friend, and they understood each other and they related to each other. Enough said, you know, birds of a feather, right? And he's on those files in so many places that they've had to hold back 2 million of them. So they were the bestest of buddies, and I'm going to give that particular relationship, just because of how close they were, just because they probably wore matching pajamas at sleepovers, going to give that 12 out of 10. And there you have it. Until we learn who Trump's cellmate is going to be when he finally goes to prison, those are the closest relationships that pathetic shell of a man has ever had. I hope you enjoyed. Like and subscribe. Follow for more. Ciao, ciao.